The first 6 months, I made absolutely $0. But in month 7, my entire life changed forever. And I'm about to tell you exactly how it happened. Step by step, mistake by mistake, breakthrough by breakthrough, because if you're struggling right now, if everyone's telling you to quit, this story might just save your dreams. Let me take you back to January 2023. I was 32 years old, stuck in a cubicle at a mid-sized marketing agency in downtown Chicago, making $45,000 a year. Every morning I'd wake up at 6:30 a.m., shower, put on the same tired business casual outfit, and drive 45 minutes through traffic to sit in the same gray cubicle for 9 hours. My wife Sarah was pregnant with our second child, and every night I'd come home exhausted, knowing I was trading my time for just enough money to survive, but never enough to truly live. The breaking point came on a Tuesday in December 2022. I was sitting in a conference room, listening to my boss explain why there wouldn't be any raises that year due to budget constraints. Meanwhile, he was wearing a watch that probably cost more than I made in 3 months. I looked around that room and realized that I was surrounded by people who had been there for 10, 15, even 20 years, and they looked miserable. I saw my future in their faces, and it terrified me. That night I went home and told Sarah about the meeting. She was folding laundry, her belly round with our second child, and she just nodded. She'd heard this story before, but then she said, "Something that changed everything, Mike. I don't want our kids growing up watching their dad hate his life. If you want to do something different, I'll support you, but you have to actually do it, not just talk about it." I'd been watching these YouTube videos about online businesses for months. Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, Russell Brunson. These guys making 6 figures, 7 figures from their laptops. Part of me thought it was all fake, carefully crafted marketing designed to sell courses. But part of me was desperate enough to try. Over the Christmas break, I consumed everything I could find. I watched hundreds of hours of YouTube videos. I read books about e-commerce, affiliate marketing, digital marketing. I joined Facebook groups where entrepreneurs shared their success stories, and slowly, a plan started forming in my mind. So I made the decision that changed everything. I was going to start an online business. I had $3,000 in savings, 0 experience in business, and absolutely no idea what I was getting into. When I told my family during Christmas dinner, the reactions were mixed. My dad said, "Mike, you've got responsibilities now. This isn't the time for pipe dreams." My mother-in-law asked, "But what if it doesn't work? What about the baby?" My brother just laughed and said, "You're going to be one of those internet guru guys now." But I couldn't shake the feeling that this was my shot. This was my chance to build something different, something that could give my family the life we deserved. January 2023, I set up my home office in our garage. It was freezing cold in Chicago, and our garage wasn't insulated, but I didn't care. I was on a mission. I bought a space heater from Home Depot for $30, set up a folding table, and dragged an old office chair out there. That garage became my sanctuary, my laboratory, my everything. I started consuming everything I could find about online business, YouTube tutorials, podcasts, free courses, paid courses. I was spending 16 hours a day learning about dropshipping, affiliate marketing, course creation, Amazon FBA, you name it. I took notes on everything. I had 3 notebooks filled with strategies, tactics, and ideas. The first thing I tried was dropshipping. I'd heard it was the easiest way to start because you didn't need to hold inventory. I spent 2 weeks building a Shopify store selling phone accessories. I researched trending products on AliExpress, wrote product descriptions, set up Facebook ads. I was convinced I had found a goldmine. Month 1. Revenue, $0. I spent $500 on Facebook ads and got exactly 3 website visitors. 3. I couldn't understand what I was doing wrong. The YouTube videos made it look so easy. Find a trending product, create some ads, and watch the money roll in. But reality was brutally different. Month 2. Still 0, but I wasn't giving up. I pivoted to affiliate marketing. I created a blog about fitness and started promoting workout supplements and equipment. I wrote 30 blog posts in 30 days. I was posting on social media constantly. I was joining fitness forums and trying to build an audience, but I kept telling myself, this is normal. Everyone says it takes time. You just have to be patient. I was trying everything. After the fitness blog failed to gain traction, I built another dropshipping store, this time for kitchen gadgets. I created a YouTube channel about productivity tips. I even tried to start a podcast about entrepreneurship. The problem was, I was scattered. I was jumping from one shiny object to the next, never really mastering anything. Every time I saw a new strategy or heard about someone succeeding with a different approach, I'd abandon what I was working on and chase the new thing. I was like a dog chasing cars, never catching any of them, but I was learning. I was getting better at writing. I was understanding how Facebook ads worked, even though mine weren't profitable. I was learning about customer psychology, about sales funnels, about email marketing. Every failure was teaching me something, even though it didn't feel like it. At the time, month 3 came around, and finally, I made my first sale, $50 from an affiliate commission on a protein powder I had recommended in my blog. I literally screamed in that garage. I called Sarah. I called my parents. I thought I had cracked the code. I was convinced that this was the beginning of my empire. Then, nothing. For 4 weeks straight, nothing. The doubts started creeping in hard. I'd wake up at 5 a.m., work until midnight, and have absolutely nothing to show for it. Sarah would bring me coffee in the garage, and I could see the worry in her eyes. She never said it directly, but I knew she was thinking, what if this doesn't work? What if we're just throwing money away? The isolation was killing me. My friends would invite me out for drinks on Friday nights, and I'd have to decline because I couldn't afford it. When they'd ask how the business was going, I'd give them some vague answer about building the foundation or focusing on long-term growth. But inside, I was terrified that I was just delusional. Month 4 was more of the same. I was tweaking my websites constantly, trying new products, writing blog posts that maybe 5 people read. I remember checking my Google Analytics obsessively, hoping to see some sign of progress. But the numbers were brutal. Website visitors maybe 50 people a day on a good day. Email subscribers 12. Sales 0. I started waking up in the middle of the night, my mind racing with anxiety. What if I was wrong? What if this whole online business thing was just a scam designed to separate desperate people from their money? What if I was one of those people who tries and fails and becomes a cautionary tale? The worst part was the financial pressure. I had quit buying coffee on the way to work. I was bringing peanut butter sandwiches for lunch instead of eating out. Sarah had started clipping coupons, something she'd never done before. We were slowly burning through our savings, and I was spending money we didn't have on Facebook ads that weren't working. Month 5 was when everything started falling apart. My savings were down to $300. We had maxed out 2 credit cards just to keep the lights on. Sarah was 7 months pregnant, and I was spending money we didn't have on courses, tools, and advertising that wasn't generating any return. I remember one particularly painful night. My father-in-law came over for dinner, and after we ate, he pulled me aside in the kitchen. He's a good man, worked for the same company for 35 years, retired with a nice pension. He said, "Mike, I've been watching you work on this thing for months. When are you going to get a real job? You've got a family to think about. Sarah's going to need help with the baby, and you know what?" He was absolutely right. I had been so focused on this dream, so obsessed with making it work, that I was failing at my actual responsibilities. I was being selfish. I was gambling with my family's future based on some fantasy I'd seen in YouTube videos. That night, I lay in bed next to Sarah, listening to her breathe, feeling her belly move with the baby inside, and I felt like the biggest failure in the world. Here was this woman who believed in me enough to let me chase this crazy dream, and I was repaying her trust by driving us into debt. The pressure was crushing. I'd lie awake at night staring at the ceiling doing mental math. Hospital bills for the baby would be at least $10,000 even with insurance. Rent was $1,800 a month. Car payments, groceries, utilities. The numbers didn't add up. I was drowning, and I was taking my family down with me. Month 6 was the darkest month of my life. I was working 18-hour days in that freezing garage, surviving on energy drinks and determination, and I had absolutely nothing to show for it. I had made a total of $127 in 6 months. $127. I could have made more money working at McDonald's for a single weekend. My friends had stopped asking about the business. When I'd see them at social gatherings, there was this awkward silence. They'd ask about work, and I'd mumble something about still figuring things out, and then we'd quickly change the subject. I could see the pity in their eyes, and it was humiliating. My own wife, bless her heart, had started looking at job listings, just in case. She'd leave them on the kitchen counter, not saying anything, but the message was clear. She was preparing for me to fail. And honestly, I couldn't blame her. I was a 32-year-old man who had gambled his family's future on a pipe dream. I was ashamed to look at myself in the mirror. I was ashamed to pick up my son from daycare because I felt like the other parents could see my desperation. I felt like everyone knew I was a fraud. The breaking point came on July 14th, 2023. Never forget that date. I was sitting in my garage at 2 a.m. staring at my laptop screen. The house was quiet. Everyone was asleep. I had just spent the last 4 hours trying to fix a technical issue with my website, and I was getting nowhere. I opened up a Word document and started typing my resignation letter. To myself, I was going to shut everything down and go back to applying for regular jobs. I was going to swallow my pride, call my old boss, and beg for my job back. I typed, "I quit. I'm sorry I wasted 6 months of our lives chasing a stupid dream. I'm sorry I put our family at risk for my selfish ambitions. Tomorrow I'm going to start applying for real jobs and try to fix the mess I've created." But I couldn't bring myself to hit save. Something inside me, some stubborn voice, said, "Give it one more day. Just one more day. You've come this far." July 15th, 2023, 9:47 p.m. I remember the exact time because I was about to close my laptop when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer it. I was tired, defeated, and the last thing I wanted was to talk to a telemarketer, but something made me pick up. Maybe it was divine intervention. Maybe it was just luck, but that phone call changed everything. "Is this Mike?" This voice said. "My name is David Chen. I'm the CEO of a tech startup in Austin. I've been following your content on LinkedIn for the past 3 months, and I think you might be able to help me." I was confused. What content? Then I remembered back in April when everything else was failing. I had started posting daily on LinkedIn about what I was learning. Just simple posts about marketing mistakes I was making, customer psychology insights I was discovering, lessons from my failures. I thought nobody was reading them. I was getting maybe 10 likes per post. David explained that his company was struggling with their customer acquisition. They were a B2B software company that helped restaurants manage their inventory. They were spending $50,000 a month on Google and Facebook ads and barely breaking even. Their cost per customer was through the roof, and they couldn't figure out why, he said. "Your posts about customer psychology really resonated with me, especially the one about why people don't buy what they need, they buy what they want. I think you understand something about human behavior that our current agency doesn't." I was stunned. This guy had been reading my posts for months. Posts that I thought were just shouting into the void. Posts that I almost didn't write because I felt like a fraud giving advice when I wasn't making any money myself. He offered me a $5,000 consulting project to audit their marketing, analyze their customer journey, and give them I said yes before he even finished explaining the details. My hands were literally shaking as I took notes, but here's the crazy part, and this is where the story gets really good. David wasn't just some random CEO. He was part of a mastermind group with 15 other business owners. They met monthly in Austin to discuss their challenges and share resources. These weren't small businesses. These were companies doing millions in revenue. After our initial conversation, David told the group about me. He shared some of my LinkedIn posts in their private Facebook group. He explained how I had helped him see their customer acquisition problem from a completely different angle. By the end of July, 6 of them had reached out to me. A cybersecurity company that needed help with their email marketing. A SaaS platform that wanted me to audit their sales funnel. A consulting firm that needed help with their content strategy. July 31st, 2023. I'll never forget checking my bank account that morning. I had $23,000 in pending invoices. $23,000. I went from making $0 to $23,000 in 3 weeks. I ran into the house and woke up Sarah. She thought something was wrong because I was crying. I showed her my laptop screen, the invoices, the emails from clients. She just stared at it for a full minute, then looked at me and said, "Is this real? Are you sure this is real?" I refreshed the page 3 times to make sure I wasn't dreaming. August was a whirlwind. I was working 14-hour days, but this time it was different. I was working on paid projects for real clients who valued what I was doing. I was solving actual problems and getting paid well for it. Word of mouth spread like wildfire through their network. I was getting referrals faster than I could handle them. I had to create a waiting list. Me, the guy who couldn't get a single customer for 6 months, now had a waiting list. I hired my first employee in August, my neighbor's 22-year-old daughter Emma, who was great with social media and graphic design. She was working part-time while finishing college, and she was thrilled to have a flexible job that paid well. Month 8, $45,000 in revenue. Month 9, $67,000. I couldn't believe the numbers. Every morning I'd check my bank account like it was Christmas morning. The money was real. The clients were happy. The work was challenging and fulfilling. But more importantly, I finally understood what I had been doing wrong for those first 6 months. It wasn't about the product. It wasn't about having the perfect website or the best sales funnel. It wasn't about finding some magical traffic source or advertising hack. It was about relationships. It was about trust. It was about providing value consistently, even when nobody seemed to be paying attention. For 6 months, I had been building trust without even knowing it. Every LinkedIn post, every comment I made on other people's content, every piece of value I shared, it was all building toward that one phone call. See, I thought those 6 months were wasted time. I thought I was failing, but I wasn't failing, I was building. I was building skills, knowledge, credibility, and relationships. Every mistake taught me something valuable. Every rejection made me stronger. Every late night in that garage was preparing me for the moment when opportunity knocked. September brought even more growth. I raised my prices and clients were happy to pay. I started getting inquiries from bigger companies, Fortune 1000 companies that had somehow heard about my work through their networks. The best part, my father-in-law called me in September. He said, "Mike, I owe you an apology. I don't understand what you're doing, but whatever it is, keep doing it. How did you figure this out?" My friends who had told me to quit were now asking me to teach them and Sarah. She just smiled and said, "I always believed in you," which was sweet, but not entirely true. She believed in me, but she also had her doubts, and that was okay. By October, I had to move out of the garage. We rented a small office space downtown. Nothing fancy, just 3 desks in the conference room. But walking into that office every morning felt like walking into a different life. I was no longer the guy working in his garage. I was a business owner with an office and employees. November brought our first $100,000 month. I remember the exact moment I realized we had crossed six figures. I was in a client meeting at a fancy downtown restaurant and I got a notification on my phone from my accounting software. I excused myself to the bathroom and just stared at the number, six figures. In 1 month, I called Sarah from that bathroom and told her the news. She started crying right there in the grocery store. She said, "Do you realize what this means? Do you realize that we don't have to worry about money anymore?" December was even better. $150,000. I hired 3 more employees, a copywriter, a data analyst, and a project manager. We started getting inquiries from companies I had only dreamed of working with. Brands I had grown up seeing on TV were asking me to help them with their marketing. The growth was exponential, but it wasn't just about the money. I was waking up excited to work. I was solving interesting problems for smart people. I was building something that mattered. January 2024, $200,000. February, $280,000. March, $350,000. By the end of our first year, we had generated $2.3 million in revenue. $2.3 million from a guy who couldn't make $50 in his first 3 months. But here's what I want you to understand. The money is great. The success is amazing. But the real transformation wasn't financial, it was mental. I learned that success isn't about avoiding failure, it's about failing forward consistently. Every no was preparing me for the yes. Every mistake was teaching me something I needed to know for the next level. I started understanding that those 6 months of struggle weren't a bug in the system, they were a feature. They were necessary. They taught me resilience. They taught me humility. They taught me that I could handle anything. They separated me from the people who talk about starting a business from the people who actually do it. Most people quit after month 1. Some quit after month 3. Very few make it to month 6. Almost nobody makes it past month 6 without seeing results. But that's exactly why month 7 is so powerful. You've proven to yourself and the universe that you're serious. You've paid the price. You've earned your breakthrough. Fast forward to today. It's been 18 months since that phone call from David. We've generated over $4 million in revenue. I have a team of 12 people. We work with clients in 23 countries. We moved out of that small office and into a beautiful space downtown with a view of the city skyline. But every morning when I walk into our office, I think about that garage. I think about those 2 a.m. moments when I wanted to quit. I think about the shame, the doubt, the fear. And I'm grateful for every single moment of it. Because here's what I learned. Your current struggle is setting up your future success. Those months when nothing seems to be working. That's when everything is actually working. That's when you're building the character, the skills, the network, the mindset that will carry you to the next level. The universe has a funny way of testing us. It gives us exactly what we can handle, right when we're about to break. It pushes us to our limits to see if we really want what we say we want. Most people fail this test. They quit right before their breakthrough. If you're watching this and you're in your struggle phase right now, if you're in month 3 or month 5 or month 6 of your journey, if everyone's telling you to quit, if you're sitting in your own garage at 2 a.m. wondering if you're crazy, let me tell you something. Your breakthrough might be 1 phone call away, 1 post away, 1 conversation away, 1 connection away. Don't give up in month 6. Your month 7 is coming. And when it comes, all those months of struggle will make perfect sense. The difference between success and failure isn't talent. It isn't luck. It isn't having rich parents or special connections. It's simply refusing to quit when everyone else would. It's continuing to show up when there's no evidence that it's working. It's believing in your vision when nobody else does. Those 6 months of making $0, they were the most valuable months of my life because they taught me that I could handle anything. They taught me that I was stronger than I thought. They taught me that success isn't about avoiding the valley. It's about walking through it and coming out the other side. So what's your month 7 going to look like? What are you building right now that nobody believes in? What dream are you chasing that everyone thinks is impossible? What problem are you solving that the world needs, even if they don't know it yet? Remember, your current struggle is setting up your future success. The pain you're feeling right now is the price of admission to the life you want. Don't quit in month 6, your breakthrough is coming. The first 6 months I made $0, but in month 7 my entire life changed forever, and your life is about to change too. You just have to hold on long enough to see it happen. Your month 7 is coming. Don't you dare give up now.